everybody to Impact. Today, our
Hold on a
guest.
second, hold on a second. Don't you have to turn your camera off?
Oh, let me turn my. Yeah, I can't be on camera. I'm Cinderella.
She's the VOG, the voice of God.
I got you.
I never thought of myself as that, but okay. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to September 7th version of Impact. Today, we feature Ron Trent, legendary Chicago house DJ, producer, and all around creative mind. Let's talk a little bit about Ron and why he's here. Fresh off of winning the DJ Set of the Year in 2024 and at the Amsterdam DK Mantle Festival, he was honored for his clinical masterclass in sonic artistry. The seminal record that we're talking about today, A Dream, a remix, a Ron Trent remix of Soul to Soul, receives a transcendental rework from no other than the deep house visionary Ron Trent, infused with his signature Chicago-rooted sound. As a Chi-Town girl from the Windy City, I am proud to present with Thornell Jones, Ron Trent.
Here we are. Oh my goodness. I love this so much. I mean, you guys who were just tuning in didn't get to see our quote unquote pre-show, but I was getting an education on what was going on in Chicago back in the day. And yeah, we'll probably get into some of that too. But welcome, Ron.
Hey, thanks to be here, man, and thanks for that great introduction, Allison. No, I thank you, Brother Thornell, for having me in here, man. It's been a while. We've been trying to do this for a while, you know. We've been
Yes.
trying to connect for a
Yeah.
minute, so this is great.
You know, the thing about it that like I had a situation recently where um my cousin is in well, South Jersey, but
Mm.
she works for the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Philadelphia, and she's literally been working there since Allison and I were at Hidden Beach. So the early
Mm.
2000s. So it's been a long, long time. And we are literally just now getting to do some stuff together as they come into the next 100 years from 1776. So what is it? It's going to be 350
Yeah,
years.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
So they're doing all kinds of stuff. And I was like, how does this happen that we haven't gotten together in over 20 years? And knowing that I've worked with, all these Philly artists, and I'm not going to waste your time running it down, but and she said, well, now's our time. And I said, you're right. And so my response to her is hashtag divine order.
That's right. Alignment. That's what time it is.
And that's what this is.
Yes, indeed.
You're right.
Indeed.
And the cool thing about it is I'm actually at a kind of little bit different place in my life and in my career. But in the beginning of my career, my boss told me, don't take pictures with your clients because they'll think that you're a fan, and then they won't respect you. And I was just like, well, nowadays, make sure you take pictures with your
Picture
fans.
with your good.
Because if you don't, then it didn't exist, it didn't happen,
Exactly.
right? It's not on social media, it didn't happen, right?
Exactly.
But in much the same way, I say to you, that aside, I really don't care if the artists I'm working with know that I'm a fan because they know that I know their work. They know that I know what they're about, and it's
I
not
mean, that's important, brother. I mean,
exactly. And you're not
especially,
just, just kind of doing paint by numbers.
Indeed.
I think
Indeed.
it's what makes the distinction, especially when you can get inside the music and get inside the artist's personality and what their ethos and what they're about, and then you come up with, ideas that are relevant to them and their
Absolutely.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I went to work at A&M Records in 1996, one of my, I don't know, one of my lures to work there was because Sounds of Blackness and Ann Nesby were there. And I got to be really good friends with Ann and Tim, and they knew I was a fan.
I think it's better to have that kind of relationship anyway, because once again, it's coming from a place from the heart. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And you know the music, you can feel the music, and then therefore you can represent the music and articulate it the best way in
Mhm.
whatever, forum that you're representing them. You know what I mean? Instead of it being, like you said, like a cookie cutter kind of, play it by numbers.
Right.
Come on. Come on. That's not how this industry was created anyway, as you know. It was created from the heart,
Yeah.
along with some
Along
other
with
things,
exactly.
So,
Yeah, we can
shit.
go down that. But you're to that point, since you are this house music legend, it, you were saying something in the pre-show that was important, and is this idea of um, having a self-awareness and having an identity and being committed to the music because you loved it so
That's
much.
right. That's right. That's everything. That's everything. As a matter of fact, it's the core of all of this. I mean, it's cool that technology allows, a lot of people now to sit back and noodle with their computers and, try to create formulaic, stuff situating around genres. It's another thing to actually do something comes from you, your soul, and being able to articulate it, whether it be house music, whether it be or whatever, genre it is. You know what I'm saying? This is definitely the kind of thing, it's an individualistic lamentation when you're
Mhm.
creating, right? And it should just really be that artistic kind of expression versus it being somebody trying to follow something. And I think we see a lot of that too. And AI is starting to point that out. That's another
Hmm.
conversation. You know what I mean? Now it's truly a formula for everything, right? So then now what do you do? But so in other words, it goes back to the soul. That's the one thing that the computers don't have. And that dealing with the soul is really definitely identifying who you are as a
Hmm.
person, where you're coming from, your experiences and what you're bringing to the table. And then that's what makes it unique. And a lot of times that gets missed, as you know,
Yes.
nowadays. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I think we were talking the other day about A&M Records,
Yes.
Herb Albert and and because I'm a Herb Albert fan, I'm like a
Yeah,
huge,
me too.
I mean, it's too. I think probably the first couple of albums that I bought with my own money were his albums.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I think it might have been the Beyond album that
Hmm.
I got, because it came out with the Rise
Right.
album. And yeah, man, dude, big
That,
fan,
oh,
innovation. And a
yeah.
lot of the artists that came through there, they were
Yeah.
unique, you know,
Yes.
like we said, A&M and Island Records,
Hmm. Yep.
forget about it. They
It's
were,
true.
yeah,
It's true.
everybody else was kind of following suit with what they were doing, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. And
So,
what's funny, it was a time, I mean, after her had his success, then, him and Jerry Moss got together and they'd started A&M, and they really were the epitome of, and Cliff Blackwell,
oh yeah, yeah,
Island, but the epitome of artist executives. So they understood the art and they let that drive the signings and stuff like that.
that's right.
I mean, there's so many great artists on there, but this is me in my own bag from my childhood. But like, they signed the Carpenters in 1969, and everybody was like, "Why are you signing these white bread people?" But they went on to sell millions and millions of records
I
because
mean, dude, why did you sign them? Harmonies alone, my
this is
God,
what I'm
changes
trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say.
the confidence. Dude, I mean, it's like, I mean, being able to see, that's the thing, being able to, because see, producer means a lot of different things, a lot of different people.
Yes.
Nowadays, it's used loosely,
Hmm.
somebody who could sit and play. I'm in front of my keyboard now, but
Yes.
somebody can sit and play and make something or make a track and make some beats or whatever the case may be. But producer, in the sense of, like, say, a Quincy Jones or a sense of, visionaries like Albert, and Jerry Moss, and being able to her album, go in the studio and see something in somebody and bring it out of them. That's what you're
Hmm.
doing. You're producing, right? And so that's having vision, right?
Yes.
But one needs to know themselves first before they can see the vision in somebody else or see that thing that needs to be pulled out.
Right.
And that's kind of, to me, if you're gonna ask me, is what's missing a lot of times. Because it is cookie cutter. Let's just be real. The innovation that came out of those, 30, 40 years coming out of the 60s going into the 80s, man,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
cannot beat it. I've
No,
seen we have some great acts, sure, in the last 90s, 2000, but man, come on. I mean, there's a reason why people are going back and sampling all that stuff too. You
that is
see,
exactly right. There is a reason because
you know,
that music was so fertile and innovative, and people were kind of free. There was less boxes, and people were free to kind
free
of
to just
do,
exactly
you know?
to try
Yeah,
try new things with equipment, and let's do this. Let's do
right.
let's record in this box with this microphone sitting right here and with this
Right.
echo. I mean, trying new things. That's what, innovation, reaching to the top, instead of being like trapped in a box. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? So anyway,
So my
that's
question to you, it just kind of a jump off from there, and not to give away your secrets, but like, what is, like when you're producing, you know, are you using different plugins? Are you like, innovating in terms of like flipping samples backwards or whatever it is?
well,
What?
so I mean, I'll be honest, and it's really, obviously the secret is in me. I'm the
Yes,
secret, right?
yes,
So,
you are
uh,
the secret.
right. So for me, when I'm producing, I like the world between the digital and analog together,
Yeah,
right? So there's always a live element involved when I'm creating something through this DAW or these DAWs that I use with Kiss Me Big, because I grew up as a percussionist. My father was a percussionist. So I play all of my percussion instruments. That's always in all the music, which kind of sparked, that's another whole conversation,
but
but
you are the secret sauce.
that's it. There's always got to be human touch in there for me.
Mhm.
And that's the spirit of what it is,
Right.
versus it being kind of like I'm sampling something. If I'm going to sample, I'm going to sample myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have, dabbled with hip hop stuff here and there, whatever, because of, me being a record nerd and that kind of thing and knowing how to do it. But for me, in terms of like when I'm doing production, I'm normally playing all the keys. I'm normally playing percussion. And now that because I play guitar now. So I normally put that in there too. But there should always be an element of self or my energy in
Gotcha.
there, right? And then so that's what makes it different versus it being kind of like, nowadays, man, you could get a sample pack, you know what I'm
True.
saying, and do this with all your shit all day. I mean, and then some guys do that, and that's fine. Guys and gals, whoever's producing, that's your thing. My thing is a little different. I like to put my energy into something, so it has my own sound signature in it. So,
Well, I'm here to tell you, you're submitting for best remix recording,
mm,
and I mean, I always loved the original song, and then to hear your modern take on it, I was blown away. It was an instant yes. What you Wow, you
respect,
know,
respect. Well,
absolutely.
I love Soul to Soul. I'm quite sure as you did, when it came out. I mean, it's like, dude,
Mhm.
they represent us as being, a black voice, especially back then at that time. They
Yeah.
were, black British, but
Yes,
they were coming from, expressing themselves as Pan-Africanists,
yes.
as, coming from the Caribbean and their whole experience and taking it and making it avant-garde. And
Mhm.
that was beautiful to me. So that was a big source of inspiration across the board for me at the time when it came out. So it inspired me on another whole level when I was like, well, okay, I see myself, right?
Right.
So to have them approach me later,
Mhm.
20 something, 30, how many years it is later, and say, hey, pick a song. We want you
Mhm.
to remix, you know. And what was riding in the ether for me at the time was Dream a Dream, because I love that. There was other jams, obviously they did, but Louis Vega and Kenny and Dope had already done a remix for which Back to Life,
Mhm.
and which badass. And to me, you couldn't touch that, so it was no point in going, but like, yeah, let me do a remix of that. It was like, let me touch this.
Right.
And so I did it. They sent me what they had left of the vocals. I don't know what mechanism. It sounded like they pulled it from the 2 inch, and
Okay.
digitize it kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And it was up to me to then try to lay it out, you know. So pretty much everything in there outside of vocals, that's all new stuff. It's all new live strings. I have my guy Dorian, who's actually out from LA. He's done some work with me on some other pieces. Hey, string arrangement. Okay. Right. I sent him the track and he did that and he sent it back. And, I had already comprised the percussion and everything else, man. And at that point, it was about setting it up for the new,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I come from an era where, because I'm really, I'm a child of the 70s and 80s. So when we say remix, we're talking about edits at
Yes.
first,
At first.
or remixing and cutting tape kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have these machines or whatever, now we can really, I also come from the era when somebody was asking for a remix, man, I had to go in and spend thousands of dollars in the studio, in a big studio to get it done. And it had to be on point because it wasn't about wasting no money.
Right. You couldn't afford to waste the money.
You cannot waste no money. So, now obviously, we got our DAWs, we can, a Max or whatever you use, we can do some stuff at home and
Right.
feel comfortable with it and live with it for a little while. So it allowed me to, be able to really dive into it, and to sit back and listen to it and then play it on my sound system at home and then, catch the world and then play it out because that's
Right.
what I've been doing. I was on tour and my business partner, Joe Clisell, who's a very innovative DJ. He's been playing it, and Louis has been playing it, and we've been, putting it out there and getting a heavy response.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, you guys are getting a great response. The vinyl came out only about 6 weeks ago, and everywhere I check, it's
no,
sold
it
out.
sold out. It sold out,
It's
brother, in
sold
like a
out.
day or I don't know. It just flew out of there. So they're on the second repress for that, and
Yeah.
then they tiered it for
Yes.
digital, and it's better. We find for ourselves, business wise, for
Hmm.
it to come out on wax. Why
Yes.
is because it's for more of the people that really appreciate
Yeah.
music and are
Yes.
willing to buy it, and more hedonistic, music lovers and that kind of thing. And because nowadays things move so fast,
Yes.
the digital world,
Yeah.
people forget things very quickly,
Yes,
as
they
you know.
do. The shelf life of digital music is very short.
Very short. I mean, they just put it in their pocket. Oh yeah, I got that. Oh yeah, I got that too. I got that.
Right. So it's an
You know,
acquisition mentality rather than an experience mentality.
exactly. And now people are getting more into vinyl because now that's cool too.
Mhm.
To be it's a sign of being a sophisticate.
That
You
must
know what
be
I mean?
sophisticated then.
Exactly.
How big is your vinyl collection? Are you like Rich Medina with the thousands
Yeah.
of pieces of vinyl?
Let's just say I am extremely I'm a record nerd.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I I have a record collection here in Berlin, and then I got a record collection back at my home base. So it's about 40.
Woo! My mind is officially blown.
Yeah, it's about 40. Real talk. Am I not?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And vinyl is so heavy.
But see,
I,
that's the thing, So nowadays, man, when I'm going out and playing, I don't take the vinyl with me necessarily,
uh-huh.
unless it's specifically I know that. Here's the thing, because of the technology changing and the new wave of DJs being there, and when I say the new technology, I mean the CDJ and that
Yes,
kind of thing. And then people start using laptops for
yes.
DJing, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's not set up necessarily for vinyl reproduction,
Exactly.
these turntables.
Right.
So then here you are lugging your
Mhm.
vinyl in there, and the engineer or the club you're playing at
Yeah.
might not even be prepared for what you're
Yeah.
doing.
But they
So
better,
you didn't made it a
you
liability.
better have your techniques on the rider.
Right. But even if you put it on the right of somebody, I'm gonna be honest
Sometimes
with you,
they
some
don't.
of these places, man, no, man, they don't. It's the industry has changed. People
Yeah.
don't study enough.
Hmm.
Like I said, they got it set up for digital DJing, even if it's a turntable up there,
Yeah.
looks like they're doing something.
Uh-huh.
But when you talk about vinyl, you're
Yes.
talking about a different level of decibel and
Yes.
things that you have to
Yes. And
control.
depth. Yes. Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because inside that analog recording, there's a
Right.
lot of depth, right?
Right.
There's a lot of
Exactly.
thing, right? So when an engineer is going in and the average engineer nowadays, when they're setting up, they're not setting up with this mentality. They're setting up like, oh, yeah, it's a DJ,
Right.
which I'm not even going to say. That's another whole conversation.
Yeah, that
So,
is a whole nother conversation, but you're right. The lack of respect for, oh, it's
oh,
the DJ. But
dude,
that,
dude, I have a whole like literally what we've had to do, me and
uh-huh,
my team, is I wrote up a manuscript for these motherfuckers to
uh-huh,
read before I come, because it's gotten
right,
like that.
right.
And then I have a meeting afterwards. And even then, sometimes it's like, what the fuck did we just do? What did we
Wow,
have this conversation for?
wow.
I know what needs to be done, but you don't know what needs to be done, and you're acting as if I'm coming in and infringing on your. No, I'm trying to work with you because you're engineer at the club. That's your co-pilot. That's your
Yes,
guy or gal, whoever. And you guys
yes,
are working together
yes.
to present this music, and that's like I said, that's another conversation. So to answer your question, I don't really care if I don't want me no more,
Gotcha.
unless I'm shopping and I'm going somewhere and I want to grab something,
Uh-huh.
unless I know it's going to be exact,
Yeah,
you know,
I understand. I
because the
really,
vinyl is more precious. And,
yeah.
you could get lost or,
Mhm.
something happen, you know what I mean? And
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because I do have a story. When I was in college, um, my best friend Ray got me into 12 inch. It was the beginning of hip hop, and
mm-mm-mm.
um, 12 inches became a thing, and extended mixes. And so my very first 12 inch that I bought was this record, Let's Do It by Conversion.
Oh, that's
Right?
Leroy Burgess, and come on, man.
Right, right.
Come on, man.
And that record, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I,
That was a big Frankie Knuckles record.
yes, I did. And I don't really know where I initially heard it, but like I lived in New York, so it was
Yeah.
probably a WBLS.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I had the 12 inch, and it was, Long Island City, was you read all the credits and
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
It's just like, not everybody um, can appreciate the vinyl in that way. Not just the vinyl, but just like the record, the origins, all of the stuff that's like embodied
Dude,
that record,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you call yourself, a vinyl nerd. It's like, so this piece of vinyl meant so much to me. And so I was trying to build a relationship with a DJ that was based in LA. And him this vinyl. And you're going to love this. This is so much history. Da, 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 da. And I would, he was like, oh, and then I would run into him periodically and say, hey, what you think? Da, 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 da. Oh man, I've been so busy having to listen to it. Da, 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 da. Oh, da, 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 da. It was just like it was excuse, until eventually I realized there was no connection with this at all. And he wasn't attempting to meet me around, and connect with me behind this record.
Well,
And
you know what that is because vinyl is cosmetic now. Like I said,
but this was like 15 years ago, maybe
oh,
even 20 years ago. So it wasn't,
dude.
I took it as a personal affront.
No, as you should. If you offer somebody conversion,
This is
and
what
then,
I'm trying to say. And I wanted to ask for it back. But I said, I'm not going to do that. But I just was like, wow, you just slapped me in my face. I felt so bad. So this is how I know how you feel about your vinyl.
yeah,
It,
nah, man, because dude, each piece of vinyl that I've collected around the world. By the way, Berlin was, I can't even explain to you the level. I'm getting goosebumps. The level of jams is always ridiculous. Mainly because of how the industry changed. They got into techno, and there was just so much of this. But point is that each one of those pieces that I've collected has an experience attached to it. You know what I mean? And it's either something that I heard that touched me, or something that somebody played for me that touched me. In
Mhm.
the earlier days, it was normally, we're getting our education from the likes of a Frankie Knuckles or Ron Hardy, or somebody that was illuminated, somebody like my cousin Lee Collins that passed away. But it touched you in a certain way, and
Mhm.
it's an emotion, and you have an emotional attachment to these analog feelings. which is what I
Yes.
call them.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's a personal connection. And so then, man, you know, you lose a record or something that you've been searching for how long or whatever, which is what digging is about. You know, you just
Yes.
like shit. It's like treasure hunt. Oh man, you know, oh, I've been looking for this. You know, and I've had one time, knock on some wood or whatever, somebody stole some jams from me.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, I was at Amoeba Records, as a matter of fact, and headed back to the crib because I would like to take the train between LA and Chicago, believe it or not. It's a beautiful trip, but give me time to think. But anyway, I put my record bag down in the area where they keep the luggage.
Oh, that's foul.
No, it was like, and I knew the person that did it too because I had been talking to him earlier, and he never mind. Point man, I tried to get the police after. I was like, "Yo, this dude." He was like, "Well, how you gonna prove it?" You know. Point man, I was like, "You know what? I'm never doing that again." First of all, it just not. You know, if I'm taking some vinyl out with me, they're gonna be right by me. But it's just like I felt, you know, you feel violated anyway.
Yeah.
Somebody steals something, but that was like really, you know. And I said, you know what, these pieces of vinyl anyway are very valuable,
Yes.
and unless I know, you know, what's going to happen when I get there, I'm not just going to take around vinyl,
Right.
you know, because it's too much. And but anyway, it's just the personal connection you have with these
It
things you
really
collect,
is the personal connection.
you know.
And
Yeah.
it's, I mean, you kind of touched on it before. It's also spiritual,
Oh, to the max.
you know.
To the max.
Let me ask you a question because I'm sitting here and looking at your backdrop with your pyramid and the city skyscape and
You know, that's from my album, my last album.
no, I didn't. But that's really great because I was trying to bring it into a conversation about a dream's a dream. The lyric obviously that slices through everything is the
Oh yeah.
I can see right through you, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's the third eye, that's the eye of Horus, and I'm like, oh, here's the pyramid behind. That's all right for connecting dots.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I mean, and that's partially why I picked it because it had you know, it was a powerful message. Soul to Soul was like that anyway, but it was a powerful message that kind of needs to be heard now anyway.
Yeah.
And it was relevant to the
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very,
And
very, very.
about having vision,
Mhm.
you know, vision and being able to see, right? Being able to see what's going on, really going on, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is from my last album, Liftoff, that I just came out. I was campaigning and touring off of the last I guess the last year or so. We've been kind of working on, but it came out, you know, this past I think it was the beginning of the year, whatever the case may be. But you know, it came out in May. Thank you. Thank you on my birthday. So thank you. See. Um but it's you know, I did it as like in the style of kind of like some of the 70s and 80s you know, album covers, airbrush,
Mhm.
you know, one of the biggest inspirations was Mother Father Sister, you know, Mother Father Sister Brother
MFFP.
MFSB, you
Yes.
know, Mysteries of the World, you know, something,
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
you know what I'm saying? That style, abstract, but you know, but taking that and giving a new spill on it, you know,
Yeah.
ancient future
Yes.
kind of piece,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. There's something in the water about that as well. We were working with this band from Chicago who were doing a kind of Afrofuturistic kind of um, presentation. I encouraged them to lean into it, but I don't think they really understood. They weren't old enough to really have a personal
Grasp it.
with the original.
Yeah.
So every generation's gonna put their own spin on it anyway. So
Indeed. I think, you know what, to speak to that, man, I just think that what happens is that with our younger folks, and which I love, and my youngest daughter is 22, and we constantly in exchanging information and stuff like that. You know, I'm always like, so why do you like that? What is it? You know, and then you know, and because their information system is going so fucking fast that they're not really grasping onto things. They get it, but it's a revolution that happens for like 2 seconds, and then they they on to the next thing. So, you know, the thing is that they get caught up in aesthetics.
yeah, That's true.
and cosmetics and
Yes.
surface philosophy.
Yes.
And sometimes it goes no deeper than that. And
Yeah.
then it's like, man, you missed the whole point. So Afrofuturism was big for a second, and everybody, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You see this beautiful stuff coming out, and then people, oh yeah, it's all about that. And then something else happened, like, look over there, huh? And then they kill for the next thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh God, like
Okay.
they ain't got it, So that's okay. That's what we're here for.
And that's right. That's exactly right. And that's
Yeah.
actually interesting because, I mean, I don't know if they started calling you sir yet, but I remember when I was living in LA and people started referring to me as sir. I was in Ghana walking down the street and anywhere I went, it was either daddy or father. I said,
Right.
call me father. I'll be father.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Take it, because
Respect me, damn it.
exactly. I mean, I'm sure you're Gen X like me, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, we have earned the stripes. We have been through it. We had to learn it the hard way. It wasn't no, getting you got put on maybe if you did the work. You know what
If
I
you did
mean?
the work, and
You
you,
know,
and you had and you could not slide. You had to well, this is true almost any time, under promise and over deliver. But you had to get in there and toil and do the work, and the rewards and the spoils of that work were that you got to stay in the game. And as long as you continue to stay in the game, then the other opportunities will come to you, and then all of a sudden, you're your own entity. But mentorship, internships, all of that. That's particularly when it comes to the industry were essential and remain essential. But at that time, there was no, I mean, I think people saw Sean Combs Puff Daddy story. Oh, he was an intern, he signed an artist, and all of a sudden, poof, he's this thing as the model. And that wasn't the model, that was the exception.
yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, and to
Oh, we froze.
that point, even like with him, dude. I mean, we knew. And can you see?
Yeah, I
We
see you
good?
fine. You're good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line, even with that story, regardless of what's going on with that around that kind of thing, he had to work to get
Yes.
on some level, and pay his dues. And the
Yeah.
thing is that people don't. Once again, they pay attention to. Maybe they pay attention to the beginning and the end and not the full story, as they say, and they don't get the depth of
Mhm.
what's really going on. Though that they're emotional, okay, they just don't get, they pay attention to, oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. They're like little news reporters. They get the little
Yes.
pieces of story, and then
Yeah.
they concentrate on the drama or something, and then they dive into that, versus understanding all these layers of things that happen that create the muscle, right? In
Yeah.
order to be in the game, in order to learn, to, go through these things. So, ah,
Well,
like I said, this,
you're talking about something that's super important, and it's then, I mean, overall, we live in a soundbite society,
that's right.
and everybody's going off the soundbite, so everybody's going off the meme, and and you see a lot of like really angry debate in the comment sections on Instagram. I have been, you know, once again, I take my role as an elder seriously, more
Mhm.
seriously now than maybe I did in the past. And when people say dumb stuff, I'm like, yeah, no. And then I will go in and I'll explain. I will use citations if I have to or whatever. And you get pushback on people they just got set a certain way, And there is this conversation that's going on right now about the who was impacted by slavery, right? And I'm like, I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole. Why not? The
No,
basic
please do.
Okay, so the conversation was like, well, only a small percentage of people actually own slaves. And I was just like, yeah, there's only a small percentage of people who are billionaires, but we're all impacted by them. And then beyond that, you got to take it back to that time. And I was just like, look, both the North and the South economy depended on slavery. Let's not get it twisted. Yes, the South had the enslaved. They had the population of the enslaved. And if you there's a map that's floating around now that says this is where all the black people are, and you can see it's still in the southern belt and the Northeast. And this one particular person was trying to tell me, oh yeah, the rest of the country wasn't impacted by slavery because it's all in the South and in the East. And I said, no, 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 no. The North benefited from slavery because they were the business behind the slavery.
That's the bottom
They were
line.
the insurance companies. They were the owners of the ships. I said, so okay, we'll take it's still the Northeast or whatever. I said, but do you realize that the money was backed by assets, and the assets were the enslaved? I didn't
They
even
don't.
know that. I went to that.
Yeah, that's that's they did what they did off of the chattel slavery in the backs of our as we say our gungun, our ancestors. You know what I mean? And they used that as leverage to do banking and
Yes,
other things.
yes, yes.
And we those of us that study history
Mhm.
know that. And
Yes.
that's part of the problem is that a lot of people don't study history. They don't pay attention to that. And myself personally, I was a history buff, and
Uh-huh.
coming out of Paran-Africanist home,
Yes.
especially when I was my parents up in UMass, it kind of was that was what it was. Nation
That's
building
right.
time.
Yes.
Um, especially that's another whole conversation we can have with the people that I grew up under.
Uh-huh.
You have to know who you are and where you come from in order to know where you're going,
Yes.
which means
Yes.
studying history,
Yes.
studying your people,
Hmm.
right? Knowing how people see you in the world,
Yes.
right? Which means, yo, so how did we get what happened? Okay, then you know how even other businesses are set up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people want to have this debate about these things now in terms of slavery and that kind of thing and the relevance of it. And it's just no way to get around it. It's just what it was. You know what I'm saying? You can't rewrite history. We wish it didn't happen in the first place. I think.
Amen.
Ain't nobody sitting up like, oh yeah, we. It's what it was. And now
We have freezing. Come back. Come back, little Sheba. Come back.
we have arrived. We got through it. Yep, yep. Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
You froze, and then you went dark, and then you came back. But continue.
So the thing is that people don't want to. It's like they want to sweep it under the rug as if it didn't happen. But they, especially other nations, have benefited from
Yes.
everything that you know, and we have PTSD that nobody
Yeah.
deals with. You know what I mean?
Well,
You can't just beat the shit out of somebody for hundreds of years. And then there's this is a real thing that they have discovered through science that is called memory DNA that
hmm
travels through our line. So that means your great grandmother, your great second great grand or whatever, might have seen somebody killed in their family, da 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 da. That trauma, you know what
hmm
I'm saying, travels through the genes. Then there's a trigger that might happen,
hmm
right? And then it comes out and somebody doesn't even know where it came from, kind of
hmm
thing. So these things, but being African American, being hybrids like we are,
Yes.
we take all that experience and turn it into art.
Right. There you go. And they wonder why we're so brilliant.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes. Yes.
Yo,
So there's and even and like, okay, so my sister, she's great, but she's a teaching artist,
uh,
and so she uses her platform to teach African American history and all kinds of
okay, yeah.
stuff within her workshops and things of that nature. It's really beautiful. Um, and but she's in DC area, and I think she was the first person who introduced me to this concept of the FBA, the Foundation of Black Americans. And she doesn't buy into all of that, whatever. But like you, your parents were at UMass. I went to Wesleyan. Allison went to Wellesley. We were all thinkers, and we had to I'll just say fight for our understanding of our heritage, or whatever. But I'm named after my dad. My middle name is my great grandfather's name, and my great grandfather was born a slave. And I remember as a little kid, I used to almost say that with pride because I knew what they went through in order to survive. So I knew that I came from a line of strong people.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about it, man. Just think about it. The slave trade in the transatlantic. Think about how many people died that didn't even make it.
Didn't even make it.
Their bones are at the bottom of the Atlantic, or whatever the case may be. We are the product of, not, I want to say a miracle, but a strength.
Yes.
So the kings and queens that did survive and made it over, the case may be, are of the strongest of the strongest.
Yes.
Let's be real. And to go through all the other things that happen,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So to have somebody say, "Oh yeah, that didn't happen," is beyond insulting to our ancestors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want us to just forget it. We're in a different place. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? You guys benefited the most, and then you don't want to, distribute reparations and things of that nature, which are necessary for healing.
Well, from a spiritual standpoint, whatever, but I can't, I got, and I don't really downplay the notion of reparations. I don't think America is ever going to live up to its obligation.
The acres and the
So
mules, supposedly.
I never, I don't hold on to that at all. But I did have, part of this debate that I've been having with in this thread, is this refusal to acknowledge that the country is based upon and continues to feel the impacts of slavery. This particular person was saying my relatives came here in the 1880s. They weren't involved in slavery. They didn't. Da, 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 da. I'm sitting here going, the structures that were set up during slavery, during the antebellum period, continued to exist and then morphed. And you're sitting here trying to discount this idea that the economic structures, the racial structures that have been in place for hundreds of years suddenly vanished at the stroke of a pen. And, they were particularly talking about leaning into this idea that, they were part of the settlers that went west, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I had to go back and school them on that as well. I'm like, yeah.
And these are conversations, man, I've had throughout the years, because a lot of the music that I've created over the years has kind of been like somewhat of a narrative to that, especially being I played percussion. So when you talk about the drum, you have to kind of talk about, slavery, being African American or whatever. They always related that, especially if you're a melanated brother or sister. And so, it's always looked at as being revolutionary, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm quite, I guess, revolutionary in what I do. But the point is that I've always had to have these conversations. And then you have these people saying, "Oh, well, that's not, it don't really matter," or, get off of that. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, you're living off of the effects and the economics of chattel slavery, off of the things that happen, and whether or not you see the systemic racism that happens or not, it's happening. You know what I mean? And it's based upon economics. We didn't make it that way.
No.
This is the thing. It's like, what you get mad at me for? What I'm pointing out, if you hit me on my arm and I say, "Ouch," I can't say ouch. Like, what You know what I'm saying? You hit me on my arm. So it's a fact. This is what was done. Everybody's benefiting from it in some form or fashion. Why shouldn't we be able to, acknowledge and benefit and move on from the harm that was done and be able to point out something so it doesn't happen again? Because as soon as you don't acknowledge it, it can happen again, as we can
Most
see.
certainly can. As we can see, we're inching towards that, incrementally. And they're just
Bro.
calling it something different. And they, right now, this whole anti-immigration push, and let us, put these quote unquote, illegal aliens in private prisons and profit from it. Let's continue. Let's continue.
I just think that some people have a problem with accountability and the truth. And
Well,
let's just leave it right there. And at the base of it, I think it's all economics.
and it is
And
economics. It's how they can make money, and as long as they're making money, that the guy that it's call it they call themselves Christian nationalists, but in the end, it's how can I make money?
at the end of the day, that's all it's been about. I mean, they'll trade their own people if necessary. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I think it's going to start seeing that as well. I
Yeah.
pose the question to you to kind of bring this back into our music sphere. When you're out, we have United States and the United States markets and cities and stuff like that. But you're living in Berlin and you just were in Amsterdam and you were there. What are your audiences like for the music? When you look out there and see the sea of people, who are you seeing?
The
Because
majority of our audience, let's just say, is definitely, as we say, it's more of a Caucasian audience
uh-huh.
following. You have, your pockets of, melanated folk
Mm-hmm.
that engage with this music.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm gonna tell you, and this is just real talk. I did an interview with a guy and we made a discovery, and not so much a discovery, but we just articulated it very well to each other, is that, you know, this is exotic to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some of the stuff that they did back in the 80s that we appreciated was exotic to us. So it's a cultural exchange, and I appreciate that.
And you know what? I
You
love
know,
that because
you
you
know,
live in Germany, and I don't know if this came to me that one day when I was thinking about you, but like Trans-Europe Express by Kraftwerk. Hello.
bro. I mean, So the thing, the thing is, is that prime example. So one of the reasons why I talked about the whole record digging thing in Berlin being big is that's called krautrock. Okay. And Kraftwerk was actually a krautrock group called the organization before they became Kraftwerk. And they didn't have any electronics. They were playing flute and percussion and shit like that. And then they went off into this thing. And you take a record like that, which was extremely innovative, as you know, and it hit us like when it came to the States, it was like, holy shit, this shit is dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, And we had all these different stories about, oh yeah, they're this group from the mountains, whatever. We created all these fucking stories and shit, but it created a world, right? And so the same thing kind of, you know, years later, obviously doing what we're doing, us sending a love letter back to them through our music and the stuff we've been doing. When they're coming out and appreciating what we're doing, it's just exotic to them and they're trying to learn from it. And they are fed a certain way because it's coming from us. We're very, I mean, as we, African Americans, we're hybrids and we got a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
We just do. Okay. Because we mixed. We got all these bloodlines running through. And when we do our thing, you get it. It's like it's in the air, right? So when you have somebody that's coming over and presenting this music and the things that we're doing and the way that we do it, it leaves a strong impression and it feeds them,
Right.
right? It feeds them what they've
Yeah.
been missing,
Yeah.
especially in certain markets where soul ain't been the thing.
Yeah.
Let's just call it like what it is.
And that
Yeah.
is so, and that's the reason why it is so important for us as music creators and the promoters of this craft, that the music is imbued with the right energy. It's
Right.
like, and I'll bring this back to a conversation before. So I was working at A&M Records in 96, 97, and, gangster rap and was big on the East Coast and the West Coast. Um, and after years and years of doing this innovative, multi-genre music and being dedicated to, I mean, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
All great stuff that was on A&M. They made this left-hand turn into quote unquote urban music because they were driven by the profit at the time, and like within 3 years the company folded. And it was sad for me to see that, because I had said to myself when they made that pivot, I don't want to be part of this. I'm not going to use my gift to be part of this. I'm not going to use my gift to put this negative energy out into the world. I'm just not doing it. So in that was a kind of, being beholden to something that was higher,
Oh yeah.
was
Oh yeah.
was it changed the trajectory of my career. But even more than that, it just made me more aware of why I do what it is that I do, and I love it when I see, you know, the videos of people just ecstatic
Yep.
behind this music, whether they're Caucasian or Asian in Japan or Southeast Asia, and you see it. And it's like, it's so wonderful that we have this thing called YouTube, that we have social media, and we see these
Sure.
clips and stuff like that, because we get an understanding. And this was so big for hip hop, was like it went out into the world and was embraced in so many different ways. But we, as the creators of this music that goes out into the world and gets embraced, have to be vigilant about the
Oh
energy
yeah, for
that's in
sure.
that music.
And we have to control the narrative, which is why things went awry. Because you have, say, because I was into, well, it became hip hop, but
Mhm.
when rap or disco rap, which is what it was when I first got, started listening to it in the 70s or whatever, it used to be like guys, rapping over disco beats or whatever the case may be. It was a few
Yeah,
jams that
yeah,
came
yeah,
out and I
yeah.
was like, this shit is dope. I loved
Right.
it. And it was about having fun, right? It went, and then it transferred and went through different things or whatever the case may be. And and of course with hip hop, there's braggadocio styles, there's more, as you said, like gangster rap and that kind of thing. And these things are supposed to be kind of like street poetry in a sense, or soundtracks for the city. But what it did is that with the undeveloped mind or the unexposed mind, it turned into a way for them to identify themselves the wrong way.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And listen, like me and Allison talking about,
Oh, why do we get freeze?
I come from a gangster city. I come from Chicago. Yep, back.
Now
Yep,
you're back.
we
You
back.
sound like you're telling
Okay.
Allison.
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking to Allison. We exchanging about coming up to Chicago and it being a gangster city. And I'm from Chicago, from the south side of Chicago. For real, for real. And let me tell you something. Growing up in the thick of that, a lot of my friends that still have to this day, and some of them not with us or whatever, are, what you would call straight up gangsters. I was the nerd out of the crew, and that was fine, but I grew up with that. And I'm gonna tell you something, most guys that were from the block or what the case may be, they might have, you know, um, you know, uh, some of the guys might have been
Oh, I don't want to lose this.
into some of this because it kind of fueled their ego. Am I still here?
Run that
Still there?
again. Some of the guys would have, and then
Yeah,
you.
some of the guys that we came up with, they definitely were into some of the more, braggadocio, gangster rap and that kind of thing or whatever, because a few, the ego and what was happening on the streets, it gave them that. Sometimes it gave guys confidence, some of this
Mhm.
music, to go out here and do the illicit affairs that they were doing. But most gangsters, real gangsters, wasn't trying to tell you they was a gangster. They was trying to be away from being a gangster. That's a fact.
That is a
So,
fact.
I hear all that, you know what I'm saying? But you ain't, first of all, if you're doing whatever you're doing, you ain't trying to have everybody know what you're doing. That's one. Two, so all these people, you know, that are sitting up, putting this out there, I hear you. You know what I'm saying? And some people have gotten very paid off of it, and it's cool. I mean, it is what it is. I come from that. I get it.
Right.
But we got to understand who you're speaking to sometimes. And some
Right.
people get the wrong information and they take it to the next level. It's the prisons are full of fools, man. That people that, you know, uh I've seen it. Guys that weren't even like that, but thought they needed to be like that in order to get attention and they go out and they do something stupid, and then they regret it because
Right.
they wasn't thinking. When actually that music was there to say, hey, this is the story, da da da. You don't have to follow this. You know what I mean? That was really kind of like the thing. I get it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But when
Right.
you're dealing with it's always some fool that do something real stupid, fuck it up for everybody, as they say. You know,
It's
and
true.
and it's a trickle down effect. Pop, 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 pop. So it's no diss to gangster rap or any of those art forms at all. It's just like, making an observation of like the kind of mentality of people that we're dealing with sometimes, man. They didn't get the rules, if you know what I mean. They didn't get the rule book. But
Yes.
what are you really about? You know what I'm saying?
That's
You know, it's too, in other words, it's too provocative for the undeveloped mind.
well, Allison said it in the chat. She said they're unsocialized.
To the max.
Yeah.
It's a place for that. It's a
Yeah.
place for that. But man,
Look,
it's
we're talking about Chicago. Chicago in the news right now because of, um, you know, the potential occupation and
yes.
whatever. What are your thoughts about that as a Chicago native?
I mean, I listen. Chicago's a revolutionary city. That I
Hey,
can that I can tell you. So hey, if they're gonna try to pull that, I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but I think it's a powder keg. And you know, let's be very clear. A lot of the gangs that were developed in Chicago were gangs that were developed out of the Black Panther movement
mhm,
mentality.
mhm.
See, people don't know that. You want to get real with it. You talk about it. That's why, I'm not gonna mention no gang names, but
You
those
don't
were
need to.
developed, you know, those were developed because of, protection in our neighborhoods, man, and trying to protect each other. And then out of these things came certain behavior, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
My folks are from the west side that
Mhm.
came to the south side. I
Yeah,
know about all this. My
yeah.
father came up with all these people and my uncles. I know. I won't want to get into that. The point is that it's a revolution. It was a revolutionary thing. That ain't never left Chicago.
Mhm.
Okay. So sure, you want to go in there and do that, you know, fine, you know. But the truth of the matter is that for a long period of time too, there used to be gang leadership.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? There was guys that was in control of things to keep things in order, and that was lost for a little while. So certain things got a lot out of control, and then you have TV, and you
Yeah.
have these music videos, and then you have the social. It's gotten, next level with stuff. I get it, but at the same time, man, that what they're talking about doing is creating more of a problem instead of
I
really taking.
100% agree. Yeah.
It's not the way you go about it, but
Nope. It's not the
I,
way to go about it. And
you
he's
know,
emboldened by his experience in DC and Muriel Bowser kind of kowtowing and things of that nature. But like they
DC
were
and Chicago, as you know, are totally different places.
totally different places. There, he's not. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be pretty.
It ain't gonna be like that.
No,
Like,
not going to be nice. And
yeah, yeah.
there were
Like
protests in
DC ain't
DC.
the shy, Allison. That's right. DC ain't the shy.
Not
It's
for shy.
different thing, man. So, my thing is that I think that, cooler heads prevail. And
Yes.
I think that, I mean, obviously there's been an attack on um, the city because of Obama, let's just be real, and how they felt about him and what he represented. And so then it's been, this focus on Chicago and, look at that city, da da da. Well, guess what? We have been through a lot of things, created a lot of beautiful things in this industry and in all industries and historically, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying, that everybody else has benefited from.
Mhm.
So, once again, if they do a surface philosophy
Mhm.
thing,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, you're gonna come up with these surface philosophy results.
Right.
If you take a deeper look, you'll find what you need. That's all I got to say. This is a deeper conversation. We can have.
Well, this is what we started this for. It's called Impact Music, Media, and Culture, and
Mm.
we have touched on all of it. I can't. I mean, there'll be a part deux, a part trois. We're gonna continue to build on this, but like, I love that the how you've approached this classic song, "A Dream's a Dream," and infused yourself into it
Yes, sir.
in such
Yes,
a
sir.
way that it's got a whole new life. And it's, I mean, the rollout strategy has been brilliant to the extent that you've really built the buzz behind the record.
Yes, sir.
um, and the fact that the initial pressing sold out like almost immediately, it just kind of like bodes for so much more for the record itself, but also because people are so passionate about it, it's going to put that message back out there. And, maybe we'll see a shift in consciousness behind it.
That's the whole idea of what we do, right?
Yeah.
That's what this has been about in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're the messengers, artists are the messengers of the people, and you're supposed to use your art
Yeah.
to bring change or to shift or whatever the case may be. That's what we've done, whether it be through a painting or keyboard or DJing or whatever it is that you do, film, whatever the case may be. That is what we do. We bring perspective and we bring energy to our situation or saying, hey, take a look at this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what we're here to do. So dreams are dream, you know.
And I appreciate your energy. And so we're going to land the plane right there. And we'll make this a wrap. This was so awesome. This was great Sunday afternoon for me, Sunday evening for you in Berlin.
Yes, sir.
I look forward to this unfolding and continued success, brother. You are definitely a gem.
Respect, man. Let's keep it moving, man. We can do this again. We got more stuff to do.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this version of Impact with Ron Trent. Have a good day. Bye. Rumor has it you're from Chicago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's where I am right now. I'm from Chicago.
Oh,
So I'm
you're in the
going to,
shy.
yeah, I'm from the
Yeah,
shop.
okay.
So I'm going to
Okay.
ask you the quintessential Chicago question.
Sure.
What high school did you go to?
Of course, you got to ask that. That's the cliquish Chicago thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I went,
exactly.
believe it or not, I went to Luther South and I went to Hyde Park.
You went to Luther South. When did you go to
Yep.
Luther South? What years?
90, oof, 90, was it 90 and 91? I went to.
Yeah, I was long out. Then oh, what is her name? She ran Cook County Hospital. Her son went to Luther South with Common.
Oh, see, I went to school with Lonnie too.
Oh,
Rashid.
okay, okay. Then you know this cat. I can't think of Linda Murray is her name. Dr. Linda Murray.
Oh, you talking? We're not talking. All right, so there's a brother we call Murray. That's our brother. You know
That's
what I'm
pro-
saying? We just call him Murray.
that's
You know what I'm
probably
saying?
him.
And
Yeah.
he was a part of the Rashid the now so Dion Wilson, who was New
Mm,
ID. That was my DJ partner.
okay.
So, New ID, of course, produced, Jay-Z and all these guys and,
Mhm.
helped with Kanye's career and that kind of
Hmm.
thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, me and Dion, old DJ partners, so who, he produced Lonnie or Rashid,
Rashid.
and
Right.
then you have Derek Dudley. You know
Yes.
Oh, I
Derek?
met Derek. We met Derek in LA at a Grammy function.
Yeah, Derek was like the managing guy. He kind of brought it all together. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But Derek used to grew up down the street from me as well. You know what I
Isn't
mean?
that interesting?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
no, it's a whole little
click.
squad of us that went to lose the South around the same time. It's interesting. I remember their first hip hop group was called CDR. Uh, it was Corey, Dion, and Rashid.
Oh wow. And then my cousin is a house DJ. He went to Kenwood. His name
Oh,
is Charles Matlock, Chaz Matlock.
you know Charles? That's your cousin?
That's my first cousin. What do you mean do I know him? That's like my brother. Yes. Except I would tell you right now, I do not call him Chaz. It's Charlie. So I have to tell him today that we interviewed you.
Oh no, he might fuck around and pass out. I've known Charles for a long time. My cousin is also one of my family members, Andre Hatchett.
Okay, that's one of the chosen few.
Yeah, so it's Tony and Andre. Those are my
Yeah, the
cousins,
Hatchet brothers, right?
and we just lost my other cousin that just passed away. Lee Collins just passed
Oh
away
wow,
last.
yeah, sorry to hear that.
And that was our other family there.
Right.
So yeah, I'm deep with the Chicago stuff. We can, you know,
Yeah,
watch it all
I'm
day.
older than you. Okay, I'm older than you
Yeah,
guys, but
respect.
Charlie, I would say, yeah, I met one of your friends. He's like, oh yeah, right. You met one of my friends. You don't even know my friends. Yeah, Ron Trent. Oh, what? So that is going to be my
Oh
gotcha.
yeah, no, you'd be able to slap him across the face with that one. I know Charles very
I know.
well. Okay.
He's gonna say, how do you know him? Where did you see him? Blah blah blah. He's gonna give me,
That sounds like Charles, man. You know, Charles is something else too. You know your cousin. He's
I know my baby, my cousin brother. Yes, I do.
yeah, he's something else.
The lawyer of the
But
family.
Thornell, where are you from originally, Bob?
I actually am originally from the Northeast. I've gotten to saying that generically, but like I was born in Newark, New Jersey,
Oh,
raised in Connecticut and New York State,
In New
and,
Rochelle.
and then I really kind of came of age in the city in New York. My
okay.
my favorite cousin, my favorite aunt, uncle, cousin. Anyway, they lived in Williamsburg in Brooklyn,
Oh,
and we used to go visit them all the time. And some of my fondest childhood memories are from hanging out in the park in Brooklyn.
I hear you. Well, now I'm gonna give you guys a quick little, fact here. I'm actually was born in Massachusetts.
There.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a product of my parents going to college in UMass.
Oh
And
wow.
Oh,
so yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, my mom is from Springfield
Okay.
and I was born in Northampton,
You're
just right off
kidding.
the, yeah, that's where I'm from. And came to Chicago when I was about like maybe two or something like that, because my father's from Chicago, and
uh-huh.
the rest is history. I grew up in Chicago, but was born out east, So when I went back and because I lived in New York for about 10 years, I lived in Brooklyn, right in
Hmm.
Mhm.
Brooklyn, right on Fulton and Classen. As a matter of fact, when it was Clinton Hill, whereas I don't know what they call it
Oh, I
now.
know exactly. They still call it Clinton Hill.
Yeah, yeah, because
Oh my good. Well, that Fulton Classen is
see that's Bed-Stuy,
it's
Clinton Hill, and
Bed-Stuy
then
and Clinton Hill. It's like right in the same
yeah, it's
block.
right there. I was there when it was on the fringe, okay, and you know what I'm saying. The crack prostitution was still going on. Broke
Mhm.
into my car, all I went through several phases before it became gentrified. Let's put it like
Yeah,
that. You know what I
I
mean?
so, but yeah, I mean, you're not that much younger. So I actually lived in that area the
Mm,
summer of 1980.
really?
Yes, I lived there the summer of 1980, and
So it must have been thick back then, buddy.
it was thick. In fact, me and my little bougie ass, I'm architecture buff, so I'm one of those. Oh, look, you know,
Yeah.
I got off the G line. At the time, it was the GG, right?
Mm,
I got off the G line and I was walking towards the house where I was staying. It was an urban homesteading couple, so a white couple who was, renovating this old mansion. and I was living up in the servants' quarters in the attic.
Mm.
This is just color. So I get off the subway and it was maybe 3 blocks, two and a half, not that far. And these guys in the park saw me and they made a beeline towards me like, oh, we coming to get you, Nicky. And I was like, I made it. I was like, you not getting me, damn it.
Dude, yeah,
Art.
bro, yeah, I bet.
Oh my God.
I
Yes. So
bet.
yeah, I know about the fringe neighborhood. Trust me.
Oh yeah. No, I just to keep it Reader's Digest version. Yeah, my so I basically my mother worked in New York in the judicial system, right?
Uh-huh.
During the kind of
You
60s
hear
going
that
into the
accent?
70s. Exactly.
I heard
You
it.
know what
I
I'm
heard it.
saying? I grew up as a Yank. Okay, so you don't even
Oh
though I was in
my God.
Chicago, Yank novel, fucking my enunciation, everything was Yankee like a motherfucker.
uh,
So,
Oh,
and then when I moved back to New York, boy, it just came right back
right
in.
back.
You know, exactly. And but yeah, man, when we went my mother, she wanted me to be raised in New York, and my father, said, and brought me to we came to Chicago and kind of thing, man. But when I was in New York in the 80s as a teenager, man, it was definitely a little thick over there. Not like Chicago, because Chicago is, you know,
Gangster
like a motherfucker. And you had to
is
kind of
gangster.
know, yeah, you had to know how to move, or it could be in your ass,
That's right.
and I grew up in what they call the Wild Hundreds. And
Oh,
then
oh.
yeah, Wild Hundred, and then over there
see,
by
Allison, this is such great stuff.
oh yeah, nah,
So you were in
trust me.
Roseland. So you were in Roseland, kind of,
Yeah,
sort of.
I grew up on 101st and Prairie and then
Yep.
107th and King Drive. And
Yeah.
then we moved to South Shore, which is why I wound up going to Hyde Park and that kind of thing. So, Terry Hunter, we came up, Ferris Thomas. I don't, I'm sure you're familiar with these names. Me
Wait,
and
well,
Terry, I don't know if you know, me and Terry had a group. We started a group together.
I didn't know
That's
that.
Yeah, we were in a production team that was called UBQ. If you look in his
Hmm.
discography and on his bio,
Hmm.
he and I were together. But we came up together, and I've been around all these guys. But yeah, man, if you didn't know what you was doing,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. No, he's telling the truth, TJ. He really is.
I'm telling you, man, the shit is quite soft now. Let's put it like that. You know.
Compared to when you were coming up. Yeah.
Compared.
Oh yeah,
Because Terry went to Hyde Park too, I think, for a
that's
minute,
right.
didn't he?
That's right. No, he graduated from Hyde Park, and
Okay.
yeah, I mean, Terry was going to Hyde Park while I was going to Luther South, and then by the time I went to Hyde Park, he was gone.
Okay.
But we were part of a young contingency of young up and coming DJs at the time, and we were playing in the city, becoming popular and that kind of thing. And it was Terry Hunter, Gene Hunt, Ferris Thomas,
Gene
you
Hunt.
know,
Yep.
yeah,
So you know
and
Rhonda Flowers too.
long time.
I was getting
I used to play for Rhonda and Charles
when
at
they had their sets.
yes. So they used to do a party called over at Edge of the Looking Glass.
Right.
And I was one of the resident DJs, me and my man James Vincent.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, like I said, long time ago.
Let me give you a little color. Yesterday I was talking to my god sister. She went to Mother McCauley, and
Oh, it's
and you
down the street
probably
from
know
Luther
her
South.
too. I'm not going to use any names. So she's like, okay, so what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, we got a podcast with one of our clients. And she said, who's that? I said, Ron Trent. So I said it like that. She said, girl, she said, you were gone, you were married, you had a career. Let me tell you about Ron Trent. She said, wherever he was DJing, we flocked. Whatever his record was out, we bought. She said,
Respect.
she said, my whole high school young adult thing was based on Ron Trent. She said, the way you all do Terry and Wayne, that was Ron to us. And see, she's I'm talking about Courtney TJ. She's
Okay.
Mm.
very philosophical, very deep. That she just broke it down. She said, let me tell you something. I'm like, I'm listening. She said, you make fun of Charlie all the time because she's family. She said, Ron, Charlie, she said, the Hadro, she said, they were the shizzle. And I was like, Girl, I have never heard
I
you get,
mean, yeah, I
got
mean,
excited about you.
respect, man. And we let's put it like this. I talk about these things quite a bit, but at one point in time, and I had to talk about it because I was talking about I just did this interview for my cousin Lee Collins. They're doing a thing for him in Reader.
Mhm.
And I was talking about like the landscape of things back
Mhm.
then. It wasn't like, house music and everything is celebrated the way it is now, but back
Exactly.
then it was not like that. It was for, I don't want to use the word, the chosen few, but it was for people that really selected to be a part of that lifestyle and really were, you know, championing that thing because
Right.
otherwise, what I'm saying, it could be, ridicule, you get
Yes.
you beat up,
Yes.
it's because it was associated with the gay party. That's
Right.
just
Right,
what it was.
right.
You know what I mean? So you either had to stand firm in that and in your own individuality,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Or,
Mhm.